This is your Thursday live show with Guys at the Bar Talking Sports.
What? Are you doing season 2 of that stupid show?
Honey, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, how can I help these guys out? Well, first thing you can do, subscribe to the show. By subscribing to the show, you'll be able to hear it every single week on your favorite podcatcher. Second thing you do, if your podcatcher lets you do it, give it a review and 5 stars. I know Apple Podcasts will allow you to do that. So give it 5 stars and a review. And then the third thing you do is hop on Facebook, type in Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. You'll see our group there. Join it. You'll love it. Best sports group on Facebook, guaranteed. Lots of good stuff going on in there, so check it out. And then come back next week for Guys at the Bar Talking Sports.
What's up, y'all? This is your boy Hanger doing the Guys at the Bar Talking Sports live show. Thank you for joining us. And I just want to let everyone here know at this table that we had the best week of listens last week. Of overall, right? So it's not just the one show that we did, it's just overall we had a ton of listens last week. I'm not sure what happened, but I think we're getting picked up by some of the podcatchers that are like distributing our stuff out. So that's good. That means people are listening, that means people are liking and sharing the show as well as commenting and leaving good reviews and stuff like that. So keep on doing that, y'all. We appreciate it. Cheers. Yeah, that's a good one.
Cheers.
So here we are, Thursday live show. I am going to go ahead and introduce the return of the Rooster.
Yeah, Rooster's in the house.
What are you drinking, Rooster?
The usual, a little bit of bourbon, a little bit of ginger ale.
Little bourbon, little ginger.
It's a nice little rainy night here in Columbia, South Carolina to do that with.
Hey, try to keep that a secret, man. We don't need everyone knowing. They might try to show up where we're at and be on the show. Just kidding. We're at MJ's Bar and Grill, as always. Everyone knows that. So, and then we got Brookie DC. Man, I was having a hard time remembering you because I haven't seen you in so long.
It has been a little bit. It's busy season for me, so glad to be back, though.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a new Ace Space Bloody Orange cider.
That is really odd.
It is very odd, but it's very good. It's very good.
It looks interesting.
It is unfiltered.
He's upgraded from the seltzer.
Yeah, at least you upgraded from the seltzer.
It's got little creepy crawlies on there. It's good stuff.
I'll give you that. And we got Cheeks, the return of the Cheeks. You were not here last week.
No, I was bar banding it.
You were hanging out with the band.
I was, yep.
But now you're back.
I am.
You found your loyalty.
I did.
What are you drinking, Cheeks?
A bottle of wine. I'm drinking Cabernet Sauvignon tonight.
Surprise, shocking.
Shocking. She's got the whole
Something
bottle.
completely different.
Sauvignon.
Yeah, she's a very sophisticated woman. That's why they call her Cheeks. Clearly, you know.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'm not sure how we got that name. I'm trying to figure out how we got the name Rooster as well. So, but I think it's because you're such a badass dude. You know, I don't know. But it is Veterans Day, so if there's any veterans around,
Right here.
Oh, you're a veteran, the Rooster.
Yeah.
The Rooster did 7 years in the Army, 2000-2007, deployed one deployment in Iraq.
Well, we appreciate your service, sir.
Shout out to all the veterans out there.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
This is our Veterans Day show.
We appreciate your service. Appreciate everything you do.
We do.
So let's go ahead and talk about some stuff that's going on in sports right now. We were just talking a little bit about Odell Beckham and a few other things. So I want to hear, because that was some good conversation. I want our listeners to hear it. So Brookie DC, what's going on right now? Just general news in the world. Let's hear about that.
Obviously we know we've got a lot of interesting things going on in the NFL, but today we found out that Cam Newton has signed with Carolina again. So Cam Newton has a great chance at being on the field Sunday playing for the Panthers, and Also, Odell Beckham just signed. Cheeks just told me about 45 minutes ago with the Rams, and I'm not sure how he's going to fit in that. But hey, we'll see.
The Rams, they do a lot of throwing anyway, as it is, so he should be fine
He
there.
do a lot of throwing, but there's not a lot of people that he can get the ball away from there because they got a lot of good receivers.
Yeah, you're talking about Cooper Kupp,
Robert Woods,
Yep.
Van Jefferson,
Yep.
Tyler Higbee.
Yep.
You got Henderson running the ball. He also catches out of the
Yeah,
backfield.
I think he's third in the NFL for catches from a running back standpoint.
And
so
I'm pretty sure the linemen also catch the ball there.
Yeah.
So let's just be real.
everybody's catching.
And Matt Stafford is got a real good relationship with Cooper Kupp. So
Yeah,
it's going to be tough to see a difference there.
If he's on the field on Sunday, at least he's playing for somebody. I'm sure that's what his goal is. I'm sure his father's very happy about that.
His goal is to be on a team that can win a championship, and that's exactly what he wanted.
And the Rams are that right now.
They are. They definitely have a good shot.
Yeah, for sure. So, anything else interesting going on just in the sports world in general right now? I'm curious.
I mean, there's a lot of bad things going on in the sports world, as we know.
There is.
I mean,
Tell me.
well, we obviously know about the Henry Ruggs situation over last week. Did we not talk about this last week?
We did not talk about last
Henry
week.
Ruggs in Las Vegas. While we were in Vegas, me and Rooster just got back from Vegas. We were into the car doing 156
Oh,
miles an
yeah.
hour.
Okay. Sorry.
So he's looking at a long jail sentence once he is convicted, and I guarantee he'll be convicted.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're 156 and you kill somebody? Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's not good. What else is going on?
I don't even feel
Alabama?
sorry. I don't feel sorry for the guy because you just don't do that. And there's a lot of people on Facebook that I see that are sympathetic with the guy.
There's
It's
no
like,
reason
no.
to be sympathetic, but there's a reason why he got into trouble he got into. 22 years old, tons of cash, has a nice car. They can't handle it. They're too young to handle that kind of fame and fortune. Look at all
But
the
hold
stuff
on, there's enough players in the NFL that are making the same kind of money that are not doing stupid crap.
Right.
So, or
That's true.
that's
But
yes,
there's enough people that did do stupid crap too.
yeah. These guys, I mean, it's the money goes to your head. You start
Yep.
drinking, partying, hanging out.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you're trying to show off to your friends and this and that. But
Las Vegas is an easy place to get in trouble. So, but
you guys probably found that out, but we won't talk about it.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you're Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
And then you go to jail.
Then it goes. Yeah. Then you go to jail with it.
There's also some breaking news. We'll switch over from the NFL real quick over to Georgia.
I was about to say this.
There's a story about their linebacker. He's going to be sitting out likely for the rest of the season. He has just turned himself in. There's a pending rape charge on him. So Anderson,
heard about that.
starting linebacker for Georgia.
Does that affect their defense? That is like
Of course it does. The linebackers are the core
starting.
of that defense.
I think no matter what, it not only affects the play because he's a 5-star. Sure, Georgia's deep, but it's going to affect the psyche of the players no matter what happens. Look at what's happened to Las Vegas since all the stuff that's been going on with them with the Raiders. They haven't won a game since. 2 terrible wins in the NFL. Georgia at their peak right now, and they've got kids on there that again allegedly still being charged, not guilty. But that's going on. That's going to impact the team.
I hear that they're going to be replacing him with a freshman linebacker
So,
right now.
and I love this, and I get to say this because I'm a diehard Tennessee fan, and Georgia plays at Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah, you're loving
so
that.
with me saying that, and Tennessee having a top 5 offense in the country right now, Georgia is absolutely nervous about this football game. And every analyst, including Kirk Herbstreit, who I follow listen to Kirk a lot, he said this is going to be Georgia's biggest challenge that they're going to face offensively all year until they get to the playoffs.
Well, look at the SEC East. Weak is going to be this season. There's not a lot of talent there on. Is
that hard to say? Is that hard to say for you?
It's very hard to say. But hold on. But as of recently, it's only been the SEC West that's been the dominant of the two sides of the SEC.
Georgia and Florida have always been there.
But Florida since 2008 has not really been there. And it's just recently that they got better last year. They went to the SEC championship, but before that it was 8 years, I think, since they went to the SEC
It's been a minute
championship.
for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we'll get into talking about Tennessee, Georgia in a minute, okay? Okay. Because I did want to bring that up because I know you're a Tennessee fan, and that's one of the big upsets that could happen this week. So we'll talk about that. going. Let's go ahead and jump into the playoff committee. They put out their top 25, or I think they do the top 10, don't they? And then the rest is just kind of falls in place, or what?
Yeah, I know they definitely do a top 6.
No, they do a top 25.
Top
They do.
25.
Yeah, it's a top 25 of their own because there's a few teams that, like Penn State's 22nd in the AP poll, but they're not in the college football committee's poll or vote. So Georgia 9-0 playing. I guess we're going to talk about Georgia Tennessee now.
That was a good pause. Good break in the action.
No, I
Nice segue.
know. We're going to go ahead and pivot over to technical.
I always try to transition you into things. I set it up for you, but you just missed the entire pin.
I did, yeah. So, well, hold on. You haven't been here in a while, and I've been the pivot guy for
Sorry, I got you.
the last 3 weeks, but I'm giving it back to you now. Okay? I'm giving it back to you there.
So Tennessee averages how many touchdowns per game?
Tennessee averages 38.7 points a game, and they've been averaging that every game. They put up 45 on Kentucky last
And
week.
Georgia's opponents have been averaging
6.6.
Yeah, so Georgia, I think it's 59 points total in 9 games.
Yeah.
That's how many points been scored on them. It's insane how crazy that is. So I'm thinking Tennessee might score 15.
I think Tennessee scores at least 14 points.
You think they get 2 touchdowns?
Here's what I think happens. I think Georgia comes out of that game a little nervous. I think they're going to be shaky. They're going to have a new middle linebacker. I think Tennessee gets a big play out of the gate. And if they do, they're going to, kind of like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the face. Once that happens, that changes your whole game plan. Do I think Georgia wins
So
the
who
game?
gets punched in the
Absolutely.
face first?
Georgia.
Georgia gets punched in the face by
That's what I
Tennessee
think.
first.
I think that's absolutely going to happen.
Like right out the gate, they throw a bomb, get a touchdown,
And
then Georgia's like, what
Georgia
the hell
doesn't
is
have an
happening?
offense. And now they're already down another receiver that got hurt. He's out for the season. Not a one that played a lot, but still he's out for the season. Just happened today. So I think Georgia offensively is in trouble. Tennessee's defense is not great, but they're not horrible. So, I mean, they'll stop the run. You watch the Alabama game.
Yeah.
They can flat stop the run. Georgia doesn't have a running game. Much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Georgia's offense is
it's shaky at best.
is not as good as their defense. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Oh, their defense is elite. Best
Their,
in the country.
their defense scores more points than their offense, I think, is what I've seen.
I'm pretty sure that's right, but they also have not faced an offense of this caliber. This is an offense that's on a whole different level.
So you think that we have a chance that Tennessee's going to beat Georgia?
I don't know. I don't think Tennessee beats Georgia. I think Tennessee covers the spread, which as of earlier was 20.5. I don't think Georgia beats
Hanger.
Tennessee by that much.
Hanger, it's time to start an argument.
All right. I've been waiting for this because
Okay.
you're my argument guy. The Rooster. That's why we called you the Rooster, because
He
you want to
is
have
a
a
Syracuse
cockfight.
fan, so we won't hold that against him.
Well, we can talk about Syracuse again. I'm still on, their running back being the best in the country, and there's no Ohio State fans here to dispute that, so I'm good now. Okay, so you can't sit here and say Tennessee's going to score 14 points, but they're on upset alert over Georgia. Georgia's going to absolutely score more than 14 points.
Georgia's going to score 34 points.
Okay?
That's my opinion.
I think if the over-under for Tennessee was 20, I would take Tennessee. Okay, I think they score 20 or more in this game, and they're going to give it a little run. Do I think they're going to win? No, but to Rookie DC's point, I think they're going to punch Georgia in the mouth. They're going to go over the top a couple times. Their quarterback has finally figured out how to drop dimes instead of overthrowing by 25 yards. So I think we're going to see a couple times where isolation plays, Tennessee's going to score some points. I think they score 20. I do think, to your point, final score 31-20.
31-20. Okay.
Is there a beer on that?
Is there? Yeah. Can you put some beer on that?
As much as you want.
Because I was gonna go back to 2 weeks ago's show and see just how many you got wrong, and then hold you accountable to each beer.
I think you go back to it. I think it was
I think
pretty
you
good.
were batting 500, honestly. So I think that it's even. Like you owe me just as many beers as I owe you. You know, even though
enough.
I never really said. I'll say I bet you on those. You know.
Do I got to do these big beers that you're drinking?
Yeah, you gotta buy me a big beer. Yeah, for
Sounds
sure.
like a good time.
That's painful.
But yeah, back to it. I really think that super competitive game, best offense, best defense. It's a shame that the Georgia team has handicapped themselves. I'm not going to go into the history of Georgia in jail. I think Steve Spurrier said had a comment on that a couple years ago that he liked to play Georgia early in the season because all of their best players get out of jail later on in the season.
Oh, that's great.
So they hold true to form. Unfortunately, it's later on in the season. Hurts the team real bad. Star linebacker. It's going to change the dynamic. It's going to be closer than than it would have been, I think.
So no chance Georgia's 9-1 at the end of the weekend then.
I'm not going to say there's no chance. Anything can happen on any given Saturday.
It's why we play the game.
That's why we play the game. I think, again, if Tennessee starts scoring and Georgia can't score, anything can happen. But is it a likelihood that Georgia wins? Yeah, I think even the percentage is, 92% Georgia wins the football game?
Yeah.
And
No,
they
of
should.
course. Yeah.
Obviously, they should win. But Tennessee has proven they've gotten better every single week. That's a huge...
That is true.
And he's doing that. That coach, Josh Heupel, has done something with a group of young men who were basically not even starters. He has turned those kids into believers.
Yep.
He's a player's coach. He's jumping up and doing the chest bumps and stuff with the players. Those kids believe in that program, and I think that's going to turn Tennessee's program around.
So, yeah, Tennessee is not back this year, but they're going to be back next year.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And Florida and Georgia have things to worry about.
They do. And that was a big point that I wanted to make is Tennessee is back.
We're back.
Next year.
Yep.
Next season they will be.
And we're going to be in a bowl game this year, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think anyone doubts that Georgia should be number 1.
Right.
But everyone doubts that Alabama should be number 2.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because they've lost a game, right?
Ohio State's lost a game.
Yeah, that's true.
Oregon's lost a game.
Yeah.
Just because Georgia's undefeated, Georgia really hasn't played anybody. I hate to say that, but like you said, the East is not as strong.
They literally have not played a single ranked opponent.
And they did at the beginning of the year, but Clemson, as we found out, Clemson sucks.
As of right now.
Hang on. I mean, I think the Clemson fans, and I hate going to bat for Clemson, but I think you'll find that their injuries on their defense, they were a top 10 defense when they played against Georgia. There's no doubt about it. They've had injury after injury after injury that is starting to put them in the tough spot that they're in. I'm okay with it as a Gamecock fan because in 2 weeks, Gamecocks will take out Clemson Saturday after Thanksgiving in rivalry weekend, and I just bought tickets to that game tonight.
Did you?
Okay. Did.
Nice, man. Nice.
So Clemson may have had a top 10 defense at the beginning of the year, but what they didn't realize is that they had a top 90 offense.
Yeah.
Because DJ Uiagalelei, or however you say his name, is not the answer.
So getting back to Alabama, though, you think that Alabama should be ranked number 2, then?
I think Alabama has a poised, super sophomore quarterback in Bryce Young. He's obviously the leader in the clubhouse right now for the Heisman, which is an awful year for the Heisman. Me and Spencer talked about this the other day. Just a rough year for that. We're going to get to that later, I know.
I got some stats on that.
But, I got to say, Alabama, when you break it down, Alabama is still a incredible football team that capitalizes on your mistakes. You throw a bad ball, they're going to intercept it and take it back. You lose the ball, they're going to pick it up and take it back. If you allow them to be there and Bryce Young has a good night, they're going to beat you again. That's just the way that they are.
So Alabama should be ranked number 2.
Sure.
Oregon, should they be ranked number 3?
I think based off of their...
They lost to Stanford, by the way.
They've only got one loss, though, right?
To Stanford.
Again.
Who is 3-7, I think.
How many people do they have hurt in that game? I think they had 7 injured players in that game.
Okay.
Out of 22 fielded.
They also beat Ohio State with their 2 best All-American defensive players out.
Okay.
So you can argue the fact.
And where did they play that game?
In Columbus.
At the Horseshoe.
Yeah.
Okay. So they beat the number 4 team. So they should be ranked number 3, and that's why the committee put them at number 3, is because they beat Ohio State, who's at number 4.
Well, yeah,
and they're on a tear. They're healthy again. They've got their defense back in order. If you haven't watched their last couple of games, they're not just winning; they're dominating.
Okay, as the ranking stands right now, it would be Alabama playing Oregon in the playoff. So would Alabama destroy Oregon?
Before we get to that point, can we talk about, is the top 4 truly the top 4?
No.
So it's going to play itself out, and this is my next point after that, right? So Ohio State is number 4. They have to play Michigan State, who's number 7, and they have to play Michigan, who's number 6 on the playoff committee. If they win out and then beat Iowa, if they end up being in the Big Ten championship,
That's a tough schedule.
Then they're top 4.
then they're going to be
Right.
they should be number 2 because that's the toughest schedule in.
Well, and they probably will be because Georgia and Alabama are going to meet in the finals, more than likely for the SEC.
Yeah.
So either Georgia's going to go undefeated, or Alabama's going to win, and you're going to have a 1 defeat Georgia and a 1 loss Alabama.
So everybody knows where I'm going with
Still
this.
got the Iron Bowl though too, right?
This is where I'm going. It is unfair to be a smaller conference and be left out. Cincinnati should not be on the outside looking in. They should be on the inside looking out.
You think that Cincinnati should be?
Ohio State should have to earn it. Oregon should have to earn it, and so should Alabama.
The AP poll has Cincinnati at 2.
Well, Alabama's gonna earn it because if they lose the Iron Bowl, then they're not gonna be going to the SEC.
I mean, they've got a long road. Iron Bowl, SEC championship doesn't matter. They got a long road now.
I think they play Arkansas as well, which is a possible.
Yeah, Arkansas stumbled, but I'm just saying. So, just because you're a smaller conference, they've proven themselves. Number one, if you look at last year in the bowl game, they took Georgia to the ringer and almost won last year in the bowl game. Number two is they have a solid win outside of conference in Notre Dame. I just think that it's time to give the underdogs a little bit of a chance, and they should be on the inside looking out, not the outside looking in. If Ohio State finishes the season undefeated, if Alabama wins the SEC championship, if Oregon runs the table, then okay, now we've got a conversation. But they shouldn't be number 5 just because of the virtue of the conference
Of
they're
being
playing.
in the AAC.
Yep.
When every team in the AAC right now, except for Houston, has a almost losing record. Almost losing record. There was like a 5-4 in there or something like that. But most of them have almost as many losses than they have wins, right?
All I know is I'm a little bit old school on this one, Hanger, okay? And back in the day, wins and losses mattered. And if you had one loss, you weren't ranked above a team that didn't have one that was undefeated.
I agree.
I completely disagree because when you're playing a bunch of layups every single week.
Notre Dame's a layup? Are we agreeing that Notre Dame's a layup?
Hold on. Okay. Notre Dame is not a layup, but every other team that they play is not giving them. They're not headbanging.
They're
every
the closest
single time.
thing to a ranked layup there is. Let's be real. Notre Dame's not that good.
No, I agree with that.
I disagree with I understand what you're saying, but I'll say this. There's two things that you're not considering when it comes down to this whole debacle of the playoff. One, Cincinnati plays in the second-tier conference, and they play in a conference where not a lot of people go to football games. Those are things that are considered by the committee. The committee is going to put teams in
money.
football.
So we're talking about, okay,
yes, it is.
Now we're getting to the root cause.
100%.
All I'm saying is, right now, the committee should be looking at Cincinnati and saying, you're in. If Ohio State runs the table on all those teams that we just talked about, Michigan State, Iowa, Big Ten championship, that's huge. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they earn their right to get in. Then one loss, it's forgiven. Oregon, we can say that the Pac-12 is a second tier conference.
For sure you can.
For sure,
but not technically. Not on paper.
Sure.
They're still Power 5.
Yeah.
So
still considered a Power 5, but why? Because of money? Okay, cool. So,
definitely money.
So let's just take a step back and look at the whole thing. I don't think the other teams have earned their 2 through 4. I think Cincinnati has done that.
And I'll tell you, I think the reason that it happens is because they want Cincinnati to be on the outside looking in. So if one of those teams do get beat, it's like, hey, we'll slide you in there. That's what they're doing.
I don't think they'll slide them in there.
I think they will.
If you have a
as
two-loss team,
soon as Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship, Alabama's out, Cincinnati's in if they run the table. Of course, they'll be the 4 seed, and they're going to have to play Georgia, and it's going to be a
shit show.
I wasn't sure. I thought we were refraining
We're not using
from
words
curse
like
words
that.
here.
We don't curse on this show. I can curse on this show.
We don't. He don't.
But I think that's a worst case scenario for Cincinnati because a replay. Georgia's going to have a chip on their shoulder about the last year's bowl game where they almost lost. They're going to come through. They're going to swap them. We're talking about things that may not even happen. But all I know is, in my opinion, Cincinnati should be on the inside. The teams that have one loss should have to earn their right to bounce Cincinnati out based on their schedule and their conference.
what's the strength of schedule for Cincinnati? Do we have that?
Like 89.
Okay.
So, no, 36. Sorry, 36.
What's the strength of schedule for Georgia? What's the strength of schedule for Oregon?
That's a good point.
Probably
Yeah, I
top
don't know.
15, I would be honest.
Oregon is not going to be are you kidding me?
Let's look.
We're going to have to look at that because I'm
We're
telling you
going to
right
get
now.
our people to look it up. Look it up in the back.
Yeah, get the producer to look that one up.
Producers are looking it up right now.
Candy.
But listen, Ohio State's going to have a hard time going against Michigan State and Michigan.
I don't think so. Ohio State's the dominant program in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, they're dynamite. Defensively, they're solid. I don't know that they're going to have a challenge, but then again, they're going to have a challenge against Michigan State, get a few injuries in there, or something happens, and then they got to play Michigan back-to-back
Look,
weeks.
the bottom line is Michigan State, kudos to them. Second half, unbelievable. Actually, 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and then the entire fourth quarter, because I watched that game against Michigan. They were getting dominated. They're not going to be able to hold a candle to Ohio State. Ohio State knows what the stakes are. They run the table. Oh, and I don't even want to talk about Iowa. What is their offense ranked? 137th? Their offensive motto is if our punt to win because our defense will win the game. Okay,
They're like the Virginia basketball team of college football.
no doubt about it. Yeah, just slow
So
it down.
the statistician got back to me. Your number one overall strength of schedule is Alabama. Number 3 is Georgia. Number 10 is Ohio State.
Keep scrolling for Oregon.
Number 21 is Tennessee.
Keep scrolling for Oregon.
Oregon is number 37.
And
But just to classify, Cincinnati's 50.
50th.
37, 50, and if you took away Ohio State out of the strength of schedule for Oregon, it'd be nothing. It's a
Around
good win.
50.
It's
Around
a,
50.
It's a good win for them. I'll give them that. It's a good win for them. But 37 and 50, you got an undefeated team against a one-loss team. And who did they lose to again? Hanger, I can't remember. Who did Oregon lose to?
Stanford.
Oh, Stanford.
Stanford. What is? I can't remember. What is their mascot?
I have no idea.
It's a freaking pine tree.
It's a tree.
Oh, it is a
It
tree,
shouldn't even-
yeah.
Like, there's.
Is it a redwood, though? That's a pretty tough tree.
I don't think it's a redwood.
Oh,
It's not a redwood,
It's
it's a pine
it's a
tree.
damn pine tree.
It's a
Technically
pine
the
tree.
Cardinals. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They do call that, yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think you got to look back. The committee also looks back at some of the close games Cincinnati has played. Had a tough time.
Why?
With Navy. They had a tough time with.
Did you see that game last
But I'll
weekend?
argue the point when you're going, well, you know, this could have happened or that could have happened. They're saying the same things.
And I want to make a point. So we have Oregon, who's 8-1. We have Alabama, who's 8-1, and then we have Georgia 9-0, Cincinnati 9-0. Should Oklahoma be on the inside
they're my
looking
pick.
in? Then
They're my pick.
my man
And their strength of schedule was 2.
2. That's impossible.
That's what it says. As of November 7th. That's what it says.
So should Oklahoma be on the outside or on the inside looking out?
They're my
The
pick.
Rooster. Come on.
Let's talk about this, Hanger.
Let's talk about it.
Everybody for the last 10 years, if you can just think back to those playoffs with Oklahoma and just be disappointed one more time that Oklahoma got into the darn playoffs with their mediocre play, their lackluster defense, and let's face it, the Big 12 doesn't even have any defense, so their offense always looks good. Okay? Big 12 is right there with the Pac-10. There's some good teams out there. But Oklahoma shouldn't even be sniffing the playoffs right now with one loss. Who did they lose to?
They didn't lose.
They have
They're
not lost.
9-0.
They're
9-0.
Should they be on the inside
Yeah.
looking out?
Okay, I'm going to stand by my words. Beth, Chinks, I'm going to stand by my words. I'm going to stand by my words. If you're undefeated right now,
Yeah.
you should be in the inside looking out.
I don't think our fans are going to like you
So
too
essentially,
much.
you're saying it
Yeah.
should be Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Alabama should be the top 4.
Not quite in that order, but sure.
So
Yes,
hold on,
I
there's
agree.
one more undefeated team out there in the in some conference. I don't even know what they
University
are.
of Texas, San
San
Antonio.
Antonio.
Yeah.
And they're ranked number
UTSA
16
should be
in the
number
country.
5th. Should they be number 5?
No, they don't have a top 25 win.
But they're undefeated.
But they're undefeated, yeah.
They have a
with the
powerhouse schedule.
130th strength of schedule.
You got to have a top 25 win. I'm going to toss that in there. Okay?
Right,
You got to have a top
right.
20. Cincinnati top 25 win.
Georgia
Oklahoma,
doesn't have a top 25 win.
Well, not anymore. But when they were playing teams, they were in the top 25. And after they beat Tennessee this weekend, then that'll
I
settle
think
down.
you take a Texas San Antonio, and I think you put them in a New Year's Day bowl against like an Iowa or somebody like that.
And they
Let
get-
them prove who they are. And if they can come back next year and do the same stuff, then they have a chance to be in the top 10.
And we did that with Cincinnati last year.
How did it work out? Did Cincinnati win?
Almost.
But they didn't win.
Almost.
Come on. They didn't
And
win.
there's my beautiful wife coming over to say.
Hey, Mrs.
goodbye.
Hanger.
Hello, beautiful
Mrs. Hanger.
Mrs.
Mrs. Hanger making
Happy
an appearance.
birthday.
All right.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Mrs.
belated
Hanger.
birthday.
I'm still crying about my Gators, but it's gonna be alright. Sanford, we gotta freaking beat Sanford.
Yeah, we
Right.
went to the Gator game in Carolina. And it was
Wise,
really bad.
wise words spoken. Gotta beat Sanford.
Got it, yeah.
Gotta
Beat
beat-
Sanford,
gotta beat
baby.
them.
I think last week it was you got to beat USC.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
All right, so Oklahoma's in your opinion.
I don't
I
love
don't
it
know
because
that people care about your opinion then.
I mean, I'm just saying, be consistent, okay? And that's what I'm doing right here, Hanger. I'm being consistent,
All right.
okay? The Big 12 is a much better program than the Pac-12 by far. Okay?
Big 12 is
Until
better than Pac-12.
2025.
And also,
Until 2025.
Big 12 is way better than the AAC. And Cincinnati is undefeated in the AAC, whereas
With actually, what is Notre Dame? 11? So with a top 11 win, yes.
Notre Dame is 9 on the college football
Not a
playoff.
top 10 win, even better, Hanger. Thank you for supporting my cause.
Hey man, we're just here to argue and fight. All right. Sorry about that. The recording just stopped, so let's go ahead and pick up where we were just at. I don't know where we just
And
at.
what I was just saying was, you got Notre Dame at number 9 now in the playoff hunt, and you're talking about Cincinnati not even being in the playoff hunt after beating a number 9 team. Just because they're in the AAC, that's fine. Money this, money that, everything's going to switch around in what, 2025? Everybody's going to go to
2025, there's gonna be a lot of switches.
Everybody's going to go to different places, and then all of a sudden Cincinnati's going to have credibility just because they're in something.
Well, hold on. They're not going
To Brookie DC's point, he said something while maybe the phone was on pause. Put Cincinnati in the ACC. Does it change your mind?
No.
Why? ACC's a Power 5, as you've mentioned. I bet you Cincinnati rolls
They
through
wouldn't have-
the ACC.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
I think Cincinnati struggles with teams like Florida State, Pittsburgh, teams like that. I think it's going to be tough games. But the
Florida State, you just
Cincinnati
discredited yourself.
The Cincinnati survive SMU.
Yes.
That's this weekend, right?
Yes.
they have to play SMU, and then in the AAC championship, they will be playing
SMU.
No, they're not going to be playing SMU. It's most likely going to be Houston. And they have not played
Will
Houston
they
this
survive
season.
that game?
Yes.
I disagree. I
But
think
don't- but-
Cincinnati loses
but-
the game before the
but-
playoffs get here.
I think that they do too.
And again,
you're right.
if they do,
I agree.
then this is null and void. If they run the table, just like all the
Is there
teams that
beer
we're
on
talking
that?
about.
Yeah.
if-
Are you going to put beer on this one?
If
Yeah.
Cincinnati runs the table, they're in the playoffs. Beer on the table.
Yeah.
I want to
All right.
I
Oh,
want
he
to
right.
just, he
All
just
right.
slapped hands on that one. All right. So,
slap hands, slap hands.
think
Oh,
about
Waterboy
this.
reference, baby.
Think about this. UCF back in 2017 won the quote-unquote national championship because they went undefeated, right?
Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, but they're in the AAC. They had no respect. They got up to number 8, and that was it. And they were better than Cincinnati is now. I'm pretty sure about that. They were putting up like 60, 70 points a game, just insane numbers, and winning every game by a lot, but no one gave them respect. Why should Cincinnati get respect when UCF did not get respect back then? Just because it's a different league?
No.
Just because it's a different world
Top
we're in now?
10 win. UCF never had a top 10 win. Blake Bortles never brought it to their schedule did not allow it.
Okay, that. I'll go with that. That's a good point.
Since he's playing South Florida this week.
University of South Florida, they're like 2-7.
Yeah,
They
South
are.
Florida. Yeah, they're a 27-point
It is not a
underdog.
competition
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah, there's no competition. But that's the types of team that they're playing.
But
Is-
Alabama's playing New Mexico State.
Well-
they won one game.
well, Alabama plays plenty of good teams throughout the
Yeah,
season.
ask them about Texas A&M.
Just to clarify something, it wasn't a top 10 win. But the year that UCF did run the table and win it all, they beat 2 top 25 teams, just FYI.
And who are those teams, though?
Those teams were Memphis.
Yes, they were both
and
AAC wins.
And they were South Florida. They beat Memphis twice.
But
But
both
both teams ranked in the top 25.
all AAC
And
wins is my
USF
point.
USF was a top.
And then they went
They
and
were
beat
good.
Auburn in the bowl game by a touchdown. So, yeah, you can argue all you want to about this AAC BS and Cincinnati being better than what they are. At the end of the day, I don't care if Cincinnati goes undefeated. They're not in the top 4.
And at the end of the day, are any of our fans Cincinnati fans? We gotta tailor this show to the fans now.
Oh, is that what we need to do?
No, I'm just kidding.
You don't have to tailor it to Ohio State
So
this week.
we got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say. So you're talking about, does Alabama run the table, including the SEC championship? Does Ohio State run that gauntlet that you talked about? Does Oregon not stumble against a team like Stanford? And I believe if I look at the Oregon schedule, there is one team out there that I think that can beat them.
Who?
Arizona State.
Arizona State's the last game of the season for them, I think.
I believe it is.
Okay.
Really good quarterback play in Arizona State right now.
Big time.
Big tall kid.
Yeah, they only have 2
slings the
losses,
ball.
right?
Yeah.
They only have 2 losses.
Do not
that's right.
count out Arizona State. I think that's a game that Oregon's not seeing coming. If they're not looking at it, it could be something that happens. Again, any one of those teams stumble, you gotta have Cincinnati in. Let's give the underdog a chance, baby. I'm a Rocky fan. Didn't you watch Rocky?
Are you gonna root for them in the Are you gonna root for them in the playoffs if they get in?
100%.
100%.
I'm not gonna bet on them.
Georgia's got to play us in all black, baby. Bring it on.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Oh no, we're back.
Sweet jerseys.
Here we go. We're back to Tennessee.
Are you trying to trade? Are you
gotta-
trying to pivot?
We got to pivot out of this Cincinnati. We've been on Cincinnati for 20 minutes. Let's go.
All right, listen up.
We've been on the college football playoffs.
Yeah, we need to move
for
on
20
from college
minutes. Let's
football.
go ahead and move.
All right, top 25 matchups really quick for this week. We got Baylor versus Oklahoma. Number 18 Baylor versus number 4 Oklahoma.
Watch out, Oklahoma.
Baylor's been playing good ball.
They're 6-2.
They're I believe they've lost 2 games. They're 7-2. Yeah.
Baylor 7-2.
7-2, playing good ball. They've only the 2 games that they lost were like earlier in the season.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they've recovered since their losses.
5 games in a row that they've
Point
won.
spread's 5.5.
Oklahoma obviously 9-0 right now. 5.5 point spread. Anything could happen in that game. Michigan number 20 versus Michigan number 6 versus number 22 Penn State. Penn State is not ranked in the CFB committee's poll, but they are in the top 20.
They're almost even.
I think it's a closer game than you anticipate, but I think Michigan takes it.
Michigan's going to win.
Tough to go into
1.5
College Station and win any game. I expect very good competition there.
Not College Station. It's State College, Pennsylvania.
State College.
State College, excuse me.
State College,
You're thinking
Pennsylvania.
of Texas A&M.
Yeah, you're thinking Texas A&M, which is the next one I had. Texas A&M, number 11 versus number 12 Ole Miss.
Game of the week.
College game day is going to be there.
I don't know.
Big
I like
game.
Georgia-Tennessee game of the week.
Of course you do.
Big game. It's in Oxford, Mississippi. Is Lane Kiffin going to pull this one out, or is Texas A&M going to go in there and dominate?
I think Texas A&M wins the game. It's not going to be a domination, but Corral's not healthy 100%, and I think that's going to affect Ole Miss.
What's wrong with him?
He's just banged up. He's getting hit, and I think Texas A&M of any team is going to hit you. So you can count on Matt Corral taking a
Mississippi's
rough
favored,
night.
and it's a 2.5 point spread.
2.5 point spread.
I will
Gotcha.
tell you that my eyes were wide open. I didn't see the Texas A&M Alabama game. I did see the Texas A&M Auburn game. That front 7 for Texas A&M is about as scary as I've ever seen in college football. They've got transfers in from LSU. They're long, they're lean, they're muscular, they're athletes. Those guys are good. I don't think Ole Miss gets out of this game alive.
Yeah. Offensively, Texas A&M is looking pretty good. Defensively, they held Auburn to 3 points.
And Ole Miss doesn't play defense. They just score.
They just score. Yeah.
Texas A&M wins that game.
Okay, number 21 NC State versus number 13 Wake Forest. Wake Forest coming off a loss last week to North Carolina. Now they got to play NC State. NC State has good defense and good offense.
Where's the
Wake
game?
Forest has neither.
At Wake,
Wake Forest.
however, that's not a home game.
There's
Wake,
going to be like 25,000 people in the stadium.
yeah, well, it's not a home game. Wake Forest is less than an hour away from NC State.
Yeah, and there's probably going to be just as many NC State fans there, if not more.
I think Wake Forest is angry from that defeat. I think they beat NC State. I think they're
Their
mad. They gotta win.
quarterback is Sam Hartman is He's a lower tier Heisman candidate.
Yep, he's on the
but
watch. He's on the watch list. However, this week is going to end his watch list. NC State wins at Wake Forest.
I would say that that's a huge possibility. Definitely on my upset list right here. So week 11 upsets ready. Number 1 is going to be TCU versus number 10 Oklahoma State. TCU, the Horned Frogs.
Look what they did last week.
All right.
They're a good team,
They're on the up.
but Oklahoma State's a good team as well.
Yeah, I don't agree with
Right.
that one.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was a one and done.
Here's the problem with the Big 12. Oklahoma State's one of those teams. They can come and they can win 63-0, or they can lose 7-25. And you never know what you're getting with these guys. There's no consistency. I'm with you. TCU, I like their coach. He's a consistent guy. He improves his team regardless of the talent that he has. If you remember it was only about 10 years ago, TCU, Boise State, those were the teams that were the underdogs, okay? I think TCU has a great chance of winning that game. I agree with you, Hanger. Great call out on that.
All right, number 2, ready? Mississippi State beats number 16 Auburn, and they're at Auburn. They're playing in Auburn, Alabama.
You're on your own on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with. with your partner.
The Rooster?
No.
Oh, Choppa.
Chopper. I'm gonna have to go with Chopper on this one and say that Auburn wins that football game.
It's hard to play in Auburn.
It's
that's
gonna
for
be
sure.
tough, but it'll be a
You're
good
favored
game.
67%.
Okay.
Well, ESPN lies.
All right, number 18
Were you about to
Baylor
say
beats
that?
number 4 Oklahoma.
Not a
What do you think about that? My Dallas Cowboys fan.
He's in the house.
See you later.
Thanks for your
We're
the
gonna
only
we're gonna
team-
call you Airborne, all
Yeah,
right?
call me Airborne, but then call me Dallas Cowboys because there's only one team in the NFL. All right.
The Patriots,
We have
right?
never lost a game.
Is that the Patriots?
Except for last week.
No,
when you-
sir. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott. Go!
Except for last week when you lost me $100. Get out of here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man,
I wish I could pay you that back, but you must be a fan.
he
I
knows
wasn't
how
a
to
fan.
be.
You bet. If you bet.
I'm a fan of money.
So he can't be. Hey, look, he cannot be at this table.
He's all right in my book, but you're okay in my book too.
As long as I'm okay.
We want you here on
You guys
Thursdays
are
to be on the
A-okay.
show, Airborne.
Really?
Thank you for your service.
Be good.
Thank you for your service. All right, number 18 Baylor beats number 4 Oklahoma. Is that a possibility?
No,
It's
no.
possible, but I just don't see it right now.
What's the spread on that, Shakes?
5.5, I think.
Yes, it was 5.5.
Okay.
5.5 means Las Vegas doesn't know what to do. Let's just throw a number out there based on the rankings. I'd tell you right now, watch it.
I bet you the over is like 70 points, though.
If it's less than 70, take it. Because we're going to talk about Maction in a minute, aren't we?
What are we talking about next?
Maction.
Maybe. Number 22, Penn State.
Yeah.
We've already agreed that they're not gonna beat Michigan.
Not going to happen.
Look,
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, going into Penn State's not an easy thing. 100,000 wild fans. I got a lot of friends that are good Penn State fans. They have pulled some upsets before. Michigan.
Agreed.
They beat Auburn, man.
Michigan is on their heels. They folded against Michigan State. They don't know. They're not sure of themselves right now. Do not count Penn State out. They're better than their record shows. They just can't come over the hump. Don't count them out.
And they're at home. Come on.
I think it's going to be a close game.
I do
I think
too.
it's going to be a close game.
So about 4 years ago, I thought Big Ten was kind of done. Just Ohio State was going to be looking good. Big Ten has come back as a conference, and they were going the way of the Big 12 for a while. Not quite where the Pac-12 was, but Big Ten's come back, and they got a strong conference right
Yeah,
now.
the problem is the consistency of play. If you look at the SEC, you've got your powerhouses. You've got your Georgia. You've got your Alabama. Every year they come to the table. The only team that is in the Big Ten that comes to the table every year is Ohio State. The other teams fall on their swords at least once or twice in the season. Michigan State, Iowa. They can't win the big game. And Penn State, they can't win the big game when they have to. If they could just have somebody that stepped up a little bit, then they would be right there with the SEC. Attrition within the conference is killing them.
I think we all agreed that Tennessee is going to beat Georgia this weekend, right? Wait, we've already said it, or that's not happening.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, what did you want to talk about next?
NFL.
Just real quick. Yeah, we're going to run out of time, but real quick, there's a little-known conference called the MAC. It's a lot of fun. They're back on Tuesday and Wednesday schedules. Take the points, people. Take the points. The average score of games in the MAC.
What is the MAC?
65 or something like that?
No, it's 72.
72?
This week, the average score in the MAC was 72 points.
Really?
Baby, we're talking about MACtion, okay?
Maction.
Just have some fun on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Watch some fun football. There's no defense.
I tried to find it. I couldn't even find the game.
They just beat the crap
They're
out
on
of
like
each other.
CBS Sports. I watched
Yeah.
Toledo dismantle Bowling Green State last night, but it was fun to watch.
I mean, you're talking about scores
Battle
are.
of I-75.
It's almost like arena football.
Wow, you guys are really excited about this stuff.
It's 26,
I just love football.
26 miles between the schools. So they call it the Battle of I-75. They get a trophy after the game they play.
Oh, that's
But
great.
you're talking scores. The scores are 45 to 40, 47
it was
to
like
27.
49 to 14.
Yeah, I mean,
Toledo.
it's just all over the place. Have some fun. Watch yourself some Tuesday, Wednesday football.
All right.
MACtion.
Action, baby. All right, you heard it here first, probably, because no one else has heard about it.
That's true. That's true.
You heard it here first on Guys Bar Talking Sports.
If you
All right.
if you're a person that likes to bet, you know the MACtion because you always take the over.
Just like the West Coast. Always
There
take
you
the
go.
over.
All right, college basketball started this week on Tuesday. Biggest game of the week was North Carolina against, Kentucky against Duke. Coach K gets his first win in his
8
final
points.
season
Yeah.
by 8 points. Is this Coach K's season to get into a top Final Four again, or what?
It's too early to tell at this point. There's a lot of good basketball teams out there. I was impressed with Duke. I was impressed with North Carolina. Who beat Michigan
Yeah,
State?
North
I was
Carolina.
impressed with Kansas. They looked good against
Kansas
Michigan State.
Kansas looked good.
Tennessee looked fantastic against Tennessee A&M or whoever they played. All your top 25 teams look good except for Virginia.
Virginia lost, right?
Virginia did not look good.
Yeah, they lost to like a really bad team. I don't know who it was.
Navy. It was
Navy.
Navy.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
Veterans
right.
Day. Don't you dare say that Navy's a bad team.
Maybe they let Navy win.
I
for
mean,
Veterans
in
Day.
honor. No, I mean,
Maybe they're having a good season.
The funny thing is, this early in NCAA, it's too early to tell. I don't even know. Kentucky fans will tell you that this is not a Kentucky team that they give a stuff about. Okay, so
I was hoping that the blonde would be here because she's a
They
big
have more
Kentucky
five-star
fan.
Yep.
players. They
Shout out soccer
should.
kid.
But yeah, sure. But I will tell you that when it all washes out, and I'm going to go to bat for Syracuse one time.
Oh, here we go.
You got two Boeheim kids on the basketball team, and you have the New York State scoring champion in his junior year running the point.
Is this Syracuse's year, baby?
I think you'll see Syracuse in the Final Eight, the Elite Eight,
Wow.
potentially
We'll be there
Final,
with you.
potentially Final Four.
I need to
Do you
make a
want
note
to
of that.
put? Yeah. Do you want to
I
put
need
a
to
beer
make a
on
note.
that?
A beer, a meal,
Oh!
whatever you want to put on it. I'm telling you right now, this is the best year for Syracuse in the last 4 years, and out of those 4 years, because there was nothing last year, Syracuse has made the Sweet 16 all 3 of those years.
You heard it here first, there, sports fans.
All right, Mr. Orange Man, so what do we have to give you?
Here we go. So if Syracuse meets the Elite Eight, I want 3 straight weeks on this show that my drinks are paid for.
Wow. We don't have a budget for that, my friend.
Are we starting
Hold on.
GoFundMe?
You got
We are going to start a
cheeks.
GoFundMe for the show so we can start getting free drinks
I mean,
anyway.
go ahead and put your plug in for
We're
donations.
trying to get some money here, people, so send it our way.
Put the plug in.
At Guys at the Bar Talking Sports at Venmo. Boom. Send it here. Buy us around and buy my man, the Rooster, those 3 drinks.
All I'm saying is, it's looking good. Syracuse wasn't even ranked. They didn't play a good team. That's fine. But if you look at college basketball, there's usually the Battle of Atlantis that's in the Bahamas. Bahamas wouldn't let it happen. They moved it to Las Vegas.
All right.
So watch the weekend of after Thanksgiving when you're all fat on your turkey, you're lethargic, you're sleepy, you're getting shoving pie in your pie hole.
Watch some Orange Men play.
Watch the Battle of Atlantis. You got good teams playing there. It's gonna be fun.
All right. NFL early playoff predictions. Ready? So, is it too early, first of all, to predict anything? Because the only ones that I see right now is the Packers solidly win their division in their conference, which they're 7-2. The next best team behind them is 3-5. Packers definitely in the playoffs.
No
Dak
argument.
Prescott's been looking pretty solid over in Dallas.
Until last weekend.
So last weekend, he was injured the week before. Last weekend he came back. Somebody said it on this show a couple weeks ago. If Dak can remain healthy, then Dallas has a chance.
I mean, let's just talk about the game last weekend. He was off. Okay, and I will also go back to Mike McCarthy, mediocre coaching, didn't take the points when he had the opportunity for points, and he drove his team's morale into the ground in the middle of that game.
Yep.
Within the first quarter, that they had already lost the game.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. We're
Cardinals.
Cardinals are actually the Cardinals are looking good, but the Rams are right on their heels. All they need to do is lose one, Rams win one, and then the Cardinals are back to being number 2. But they're going to be in the,
it doesn't matter.
They're playing enough to be a wild card no matter
Beckham
what.
is just going to push them a little further.
Rams are in, Cardinals are in, Packers are in.
Right.
Ravens, Chargers, Bills. Those are 3 teams that have a chance.
I'm so
Forget about
disappointed in the
Titans.
Bills.
Titans are on my list as well.
I'm actually disappointed in the Ravens because I think they have a coach that could have controlled OBJ, and I was surprised they didn't try to pick him up because there is no wide receivers at the Ravens right now.
They were my pick for the Super Bowl. They are no longer my pick for the Super Bowl.
Cheeks, you can't change mid-season.
I had Ravens and Green Bay in the Super Bowl, so that's a possibility.
Those are
right
also
now.
terrible picks.
Well, that was at the beginning of the season. We recorded it here on this show.
That's fine.
We did.
So we all went through it. Okay, Heisman candidates really quick. This is the last point. Everyone says it's a sucky season for Heisman.
O.J. Simpson.
I think.
Whoa.
My personal feeling is that Georgia's defense should be the Heisman Trophy winner. But because they have really done something that no other team has ever done, which is allow 6 points per game. The best before that, I think, was 13 points per game by Alabama in 1992. So
I thought the 2012 Alabama was pretty close as well, but you know,
no, that's what it was. Yeah, it was the 2012 Alabama. No, it was the 92 Alabama team that was 13 points a game.
I think if you look back at your notes, you'll find that Alabama didn't win the national championship in 1982.
I might be mixing up in 2012. Okay, whatever it was.
Year or
so, yeah. Okay, Bryce Young. So let me give a little stats first. Tim Tebow threw for 3,286 yards, had 32 touchdowns passing and 23 touchdowns rushing, and then Joe Burrow 4,715 yards in the air, 48 touchdowns. And then you had, this is for running backs now, Reggie Bush, 1,700 yards, 16 touchdowns. And then Mark Ingram from Alabama, Mark Ingram Jr., 1,658 yards, 17 touchdowns. This is the people that we're looking at now. Bryce Young is the number 1 candidate to win the Heisman right now. He's winning. He's the most looked at, 2,755 yards. You can't say that he's not going to have somewhere within that 3,200 yards number for the season by the time he gets done.
Yeah, it's hard to compare anybody to Joe Burrow in that LSU team. I mean,
no, Joe Burrow was insane that year.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about likely the best team we had ever seen in college football.
I would say, based on these stats, Joe Burrow is probably the best college football player or quarterback ever. Yeah, quarterback ever.
Bold statement, Hanger. Bold statement. But I got to tell you, that season was magical. I mean, a team that had never been seen before. I mean, they have at least 8 players from that team playing in the NFL and impacting the NFL right now.
But Bryce Young is on a road which makes him a Heisman Trophy candidate, and it's not like he's doing worse than some other people that have gotten the Heisman Trophy in the past.
I'm just. If you look at it, if our boy that wasn't at a bass tournament right now, he'd be sitting here telling you the same thing. Running backs need to be talked about.
So Kenneth Walker III at Michigan State, 1,340 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns, 6.7 yards per game. He's going to have close to what Reggie Bush had. He's going to have close to what Mark Ingram Jr. had as a running back at Michigan State this year. Most likely, all he's got to do is have a couple 100 or 300-yard games in a row, and he's there. So I don't see why he wouldn't be a Heisman candidate, but people are talking like this isn't a year for good Heisman players.
I'm telling you right now, the Ripper is rolling over in his best tournament right now because you're not even talking about
C.J. Stroud?
C.J. Stroud, okay?
Okay, 2,600 passing yards, 25 touchdowns.
No, not C.J. Stroud. The running back that he called.
Oh,
out to
Trayvon Henderson?
Trayvon Henderson. Didn't play the first 3 games, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Got into a little bit. But, again, I'm going to go back. If you're the Heisman winner, does it require you to be on a winning team?
It does. It does. It doesn't require it, but if you look at historically...
What is the definition of the Heisman? Is the best football player
Right.
Yeah.
on the field.
Right.
That's totally agreed.
Okay.
And if you look at the best football player on the field right now, Bryce Young, Matt Corral, Kenneth Walker III, and C.J. Stroud. Now those guys are fighting for it. It's going to come down to the end because if you looked this time in 2019, Joe Burrow was the clear Heisman Trophy winner. He was on a run. He had 3,600 passing yards already at that point, probably more than that.
Again, I'm going to go back to it. You got a kid named Tucker sitting at Syracuse who has more yards total than anybody in the NCAA.
So where is he at on my list?
Why isn't he on your list? Because
I don't
Syracuse is
know.
5-4.
Because they're 5-4. Okay, so that does
6.3 average yards per carry. Okay, 1,267 total yards rushing, another 238 yards. He's up over 1,500 yards total in the NCAA.
But is anybody to look at them then? Because they're 5-4.
They should be.
They should be, but they're not.
But if Syracuse has lost 3 games by less than 3 points. If they won all 3 of those games, you're telling me now that Tucker would be on the list.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
Isn't it harder to get good stats with a bad team than it is to have a good team and good stats?
I mean, if you're Bryce Young and you got great receivers around you, then yeah, that's a good point.
Sure.
If you're Kenneth Walker III at Michigan State, you got a pretty darn good line that's creating some room for you. Yeah. Now you still got to get those runs in, but he's getting way less room, I'm sure, at Syracuse than Kenneth Walker's getting at Michigan State.
That's all I'm saying. If you're at Syracuse, you're looking to get a 3-star. If you're at Michigan State, you're at 4 and 5-star.
That's
Right.
true.
That's true.
We got to wrap this up
Yeah.
because my man here needs another drink.
Oh my God, you're on E.
And my man over here, Rookie DC, is drinking water at this point.
He wasn't waiting. Food came.
The food came.
I'm hungry, man.
So we need y'all to come back every week, including next week, for more Guys at the Bar talking
Sports!
It's your boy Hanger looking for a beer. Actually, we're all looking for a beer. So if you want to buy the guys a beer, at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports on Venmo. That's it. Easy as drinking a beer.